Alright, MrSotko here, and welcome back to another Wargame Red Dragon replay cast. Today it's a 1 vs 1 on Wonsan Harbor between our blue player Rafly and our red player Dumbestadam. And kind of a unique replay cast because I don't think I've casted a game on Wonsan Harbor before, and if I have, then it obviously is only once or twice. And I actually kind of like this map. I know a lot of people don't like this map because it's pretty much exclusively city fighting, but I actually really like city fighting. Some of the decks, you can make for city fighting are very unique with a lot of flamers and a lot of special forces and things like that. I didn't get to flank here on things like that, and it's just very interesting. Different type of strategy, different type of game entirely. And so we're going to speed this on up to the 10x point when all the units come out. And so, not very many casts on Wonsan Harbor. Maybe one or two. Not really actually sure. But I really enjoy the map. It's always a good time. And some troops moving on out here. A ZTZ 85-3 moving up. So, pretty heavy armor for this map. Usually people don't go that heavy of armor. But if you put a piece of armor either right here, I guess respectively on the other side as well, you can sort of flank and get shots in between there on your opponent. And so that may be what he is doing there. If you bring it up through Delta, I think that would be kind of like a death wish in my opinion. There's just so many little town points in here, and all of these cargo containers actually do block your line of sight. So the tank doesn't work so good unless you're about right here maybe to fire all the way down there. So our blue player, lots of light rifles here, some ATGM Super Dragons, which are not that great unfortunately. But I suppose US makes up for it in other ways. ADATs there fires, hits something, and takes it out. I think it was just an APC there with the Lee Ren. And with some Canadian rifles and Navy SEALs in the center. So this may be a NORAD deck that he is using there. And I think we have a either exclusively Chinese deck. It does look that way for Dumbestadam. Getting that big bonus units for using China. And napalm troops right up front, but some Navy SEALs and Canadian Airborne to battle those. Lots of flamers in the town here. Some Tekashashaus as well, but not going to do so good in the town there at that particular position. And PTZ 89 on the road there. Stop anything from coming down there, but Navy SEALs pushing up. And Navy SEALs really do thrash pretty well. You just don't get a lot of them because they're recon troops, but they are really, really good with that 40mm frag. And recon chopper out on the left there, neither side any points just yet. A destruction game with only about 50 points for our blue player. I think this may be actually the first destruction game I have casted. Normally I always casting conquest games. And bombing run there. Napalm troops juked that out pretty well. Still 50-0 at the moment. And just captured here the blue for a little bit of extra income. So more income than the red player. And Navy SEALs backing up here. Now going to try and really conserve these units. Not quite conquest, so definitely don't want to lose these. And some HEMETs are going to be placed back here. So you can actually just take your troops, move them back to one of these lines here, get them all fresh and reinforced, and then push them back again. One of the best tactics for this map is exactly that. Just set some supply or HEMETs, what have you, back there, and whenever you start to lose some troops, just start bringing them back, replace them with fresh troops, and resupply them, and then send them back into the battle again. Even on a conquest game, that works really, really well. Then you really never run out of troops, and eventually you just start getting more and more and more troops in there. And tons of ZSDs here coming down the line. Navy SEALs against the Lee Ren now. And Navy SEALs doing really well. Again, those 40mm frags just crushing those Lee Ren. And another CV on the way here for Dumbestadam. And we'll see where he decides to put that. If he puts it in Delta, neither side is really going to get those points. If he puts it in Gulf, he'll get at least a +2. He'll take away his opponent's +4 there. So decisions. And these ZSDs here are just really feeding his opponent. That's another thing you got to watch out for with destruction, is that your cheap troop carriers just end up feeding your opponent and really don't amount to all that much a lot of the time, unless you play them really well, of course, and keep them outside of the range of the Carl Gustavs and what have you. But easier said than done. And that's sort of another reason why I like Conquest, is that all your troop carriers, you can use a lot of cheap stuff to make pushes, push your opponent out of Foxtrot and these territories, and not really have to worry about losing too many points to your opponent by giving them, by using your cheap troop carriers like that. ZTZ85 here, in a pretty decent position right there. I kind of like that. But doesn't have too much line of sight there, but also hard to hit that. And now neutralized the Delta Zone there by having another CV, so neither side really gaining any advantage right now, but another CV is on the way for Dumbestadam, so he's going to have the advantage soon. The Hemet has arrived into the town, so these Navy SEALs will get reinforced. I might have to move these SEALs back just a little bit here. Javelin's hitting Chopper there, takes that out. And the Light Rifleman now engaging with the Lee Run, but Light Rifleman not so good. Overall, just the equivalent of regular riflemen, except with a Super Dragon. And the Lee Run, Light Rifleman, going to be going at it for a little while here. Navy SEALs now being reinforced, and these ones all reinforced up and prepared, rearmed. And as soon as these SEALs here are reinforced, just all they'd have to do is be pushing back to the Lee Run and would dominate them pretty well. J7 flying overhead. And going to drop a couple bombs, but the Light Riflemen juked that out. Not going to take too much. Well, they took a decent amount of damage there. Lost about 7 men out of there. So the Lee Run will overwhelm them quite soon here, 12-7. And see, the V-150s have been left in the back here in the Grizzlies as well, so he doesn't give those points to his opponent as they're pretty low. But if this was a Conquest game, you figure you might as well use those, and you could pretty much just send them at troops and position them well. You'd still want to position them well, of course, but losing them, not a big deal. So anything you kill with them is nice. And then when you lose them, no real loss. Now the ZTZ85 is moving up here, and there isn't much to deal with this. We have the ADATs here. And I think the ADAT spots that. Man, it's going to huck a missile, but it may be too late. It's going to get around those. It's very hard to hit past these cargo containers, because as soon as you're moving, even if that missile was launched, he just moves right behind another cargo container. And then gets out of line of sight. Now the ZTZ85 spots the Rifleman. So no Dumbestadam at 75 to 405. And another command squad could be in trouble here. If he just pushes that forward, command squad has no way to deal with that ZTZ. And a pretty good choice at the beginning there. A nice heavy, somewhat super heavy, close to a super heavy. And ZTZ coming around the side here should spot that command center. Command squad, or perhaps not, hidden fairly well with his opponent there. Maybe he didn't see that. Now the ZTZ85 is just cruising on down the way here. And we'll see what kind of trouble he can get into. Gulf has been taken, so the only player with a slight income advantage is our red player. And the MI1 moving up a little bit here, going to give a little bit of vision. Only very good optics, not quite exceptional. And the Hemets are resupplying here at the FOB, and a DAP is coming in, but that's not really going to do the trick. Don't think that is the correct unit to be bringing in right now. The Hemet down, and the other Hemet may be out of sight there behind the FOB. And he's going to try and get out of there, and Hemet nearly takes a shot, panicked, and will make it out of there into the town. And Tomcat coming out here, J8C. And completely overwhelmed Tomcat and the DAP. So big points there for our red player. Now up to 335 to 505. Loses one of those J8s to the Javelins. But the ZTZ-85 is still here. And still needs taken care of. And it's going to take a real big plane to take care of, or excuse me, tank to take care of that. At least an HC. And command squad moves, loses Alpha because he moves just out of the way, takes the fob. And not looking too good now. Moves it back into position so that he can bring more in. Tomcat now coming out again. Q5D taken out by the Tomcat. And DAP nearly taken out by the explosion. And is stunned. And is going to try and 30 mil that ZTZ-85, but the ZTZ-85 is just going to fire back. So again, not a good choice. Lesson learned. Do not use the DAP to try and take out tanks. JHC's come along again, just wipe that out. Again, a very strange choice to use a DAP against the ZTZ-85. And now some Z9As are moving in to the line here. And not too much going on here. All the focus right now over here. And that command squad keeps moving for its life. And has no way to deal with the ZTZ. Another shot goes off, now down to 2 men. And the Javelins should be taking care of these Z9As, no problem. And does take care of those. A new CV would be very, very useful for our blue player to bring it back here somewhere, or just even in the woods, anywhere but there. ZT-85 is going to have a real hard time taking care of this, though, as it can just pretty much shift around. And the ZTZ-85 has to move through all of this. Z9As with recon troops coming in. And more JHCs covering the skies. Command squad still not holding Alpha there, just temporarily held it. And now the command squad is actually reinforcing from the Hemet. And some pretty good juking going on here. It's a very interesting game so far, juking back and forth. Now some Lee Ren are moving towards the town. ZTZ-63-2 is going to be on the way. And Javelin has plenty of missiles still. Take care of these Z9As. Looks like the command squad's doing a good job of that too. And ZTZ-85 still moving. Hasn't really brought any new units, although he doesn't have Alpha at the moment. As soon as he brings that command squad in, should be bringing in some units. He should have some decent income by now. More JHCs on the way, covering the skies again. And V-150s filled with troops here, moving back. I think he loaded up some of those Navy SEALs, or perhaps the Canadian Airborne. I don't know why you'd want to load up Navy SEALs against the ZTZ-85, so I'd like to suspect it's the Canadian Airborne that he's bringing in. And still juking this out. And he should have a huge amount of income right now, or at least stocked away resources. As even though he doesn't have Alpha, he's still gaining resources. And he hasn't brought anything in a while. So as soon as he gets this taken care of here, he should be able to bring in... Yeah, and indeed, it was Canadian Airborne, but he dropped them off a little bit too soon. I was going to have to walk those across the way. And dropped them off because that ZTZ-85 was taking out those V-150s. And now the Hemet should be under fire here soon. Like to see somebody try and take that out. And on a one man in that squad. And just about to permanently lose that. Gonna have to bag up the command squad in the M35 there. And bring it in. Looks like he's gonna try and take that command squad and just plop it in Bravo for now. And because why not? Might as well hold on to it. And Hemet has been taken. Rafly still technically winning this. Canadian Airborne just barely make it in, but it's not going to be enough to take out that ZTZ. All these Lee Ren are going to take out the Canadian Airborne. And ADAT's trying to deal with the 63-2 and one-shots it. And Canadian Airborne were just not enough. And finishes those off. Now he's definitely in trouble. Gonna have to bag up that M35 there and try and take it in. And maybe at least just get it inside the zone and then just pour everything he's got to help defend this. And the ADATS is moving back here. We'll speed this up just a little bit to the 2x mark. And I think this is his only hope here. Taking that M35, taking it to just the edge. Although it's not gonna last too long, especially with these Z5s moving in. And then just pour in, because he should have just, I mean, hundreds of resources right now. Stocked away from not spending anything, and then he could just pour in units. Super heavies and troops to deal with that. V-150 now coming back and loaded with Navy SEALs by the looks of it. The Navy SEALs really aren't going to be able to do anything and get that ZTZ. And so a very good choice at ZTZ so far. And so far it's 935 to 735. So technically our blue player is still winning. How long that will last is questionable. Now Legion are moving back at super speed because it is 2x. And that looks like it's going to do it here for our blue player. He may have to GG out. And really should have taken that command center back. Command squad rather, and taking it back because he probably has 500, 600, maybe even 700 resources by now. I couldn't imagine him having much less than that. And if he could just get it in there for even just a minute, he could just absolutely pour in troops. Maybe an M1A2 or some kind of super heavy, an HC perhaps. And loses another CV there, bag that up. And he GG's out, leaving our red player the winner. So a very interesting match, a destruction match, which I don't think I've even ever casted before. So it's very nice to see that, and really nice play from Dumbestadam, and using that ZTZ and playing Ring Around the Rosie there with the command center in the main base. But again, I think he should have got that CV in there and then poured a bunch of units and might have had a chance. But hope you guys enjoyed the replay, and I'll see you guys next time.